Today we're talking about the co-op games from 1992. But first, let's see what other games were released in 92. Wolfenstein 3D, Super Mario Land 2, Mario Kart, Kirby's Dream Land, Alone in the Dark, Mario Paint, Night Trap, Kid Chameleon. JVC released the Wonder Mega, the Turbo Duo, the Amiga 1200, and Nintendo released the Super Scope for the Super NES. Now let's jump into the co-op games. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Sega Genesis marks a pivotal moment in gaming history, refining the already beloved gameplay mechanics and graphics of the original Sonic title. Released in 1992, it played a significant role in Sega's successful holiday season, becoming one of Sega's best-selling games. The introduction of Miles, Tails Prower, as Sonic's sidekick added depth to the gameplay, enhancing the overall experience. This wasn't the best co-op experience, as Tails ends up just getting left in the dust as Sonic speeds through, but it was perfect for a younger sibling, and Tails can really do some damage during boss fights. Sonic 2 stands as a shining example of how to create a successful sequel, retaining the series' core essence while introducing meaningful improvements. Streets of Rage 2 is an iconic beat-em-up classic that remains one of the definitive titles in console gaming history. Originally released in 1992 for the Sega Genesis, it captivated players then and continues to do so today. It's still considered to be one of the greatest beat-em-ups of all time. Whether you're a fan of pounding thugs on the street, wielding weapons, demolishing arcade machines, or joining forces with a friend for some co-op action, Streets of Rage 2 is a must-play. Its varied character roster, each with unique fighting styles and special moves, adds depth to the gameplay. The addition of enemy life bars and names enhances the experience, distinguishing it from its predecessor, and competing titles like Final Fight. Where Streets of Rage 2 truly shines is in its flawless two-player co-op mode, making it a standout in the beat-em-up genre. Contra 3: The Alien Wars is a triumphant entry in the Contra series, showcasing Konami's dedication to pushing the Super Nintendo's capabilities to the limit. Transitioning from 8-bit NES to the SNES, the game offers a substantial leap in terms of visuals, gameplay, and sheer intensity. In a post-apocalyptic city overrun by alien invaders, players can team up with a friend to take on these extraterrestrial threats. The game seamlessly blends run-and-gun platforming with thrilling top-down sections, all enhanced by the SNES's Mode 7 technology for impressive scaling and rotating effects. From battling Terminator-style robots to navigating a collapsing city amidst earthquakes and fires, Contra 3 delivers an action-packed experience, reminiscent of 80s blockbuster films. The controls are spot on, and while the difficulty can be challenging, it's a testament to the game's fast-paced and relentless nature. The exceptional visuals, memorable music, and intense boss fights make Contra 3 a must-play, especially in two-player co-op mode, and still considered to be one of the best run-and-gun games of all time. Last Resort may be a classic case of an underappreciated gem in the Neo Geo library, especially when it comes to shoot-em-ups. Released in 1992, this horizontally scrolling blaster captivates players with its somber atmosphere, drawing inspiration from titles like R-Type and Armed Police Unit Gallop. What sets it apart is the engaging gameplay, centered around a versatile orb-like weapon that rotates in tandem with your ship, offering protection from enemy fire in all directions. The ability to lock the orb in place, use it as a battering ram, or unleash a charged attack adds depth and strategy. However, Last Resort doesn't pull any punches when it comes to difficulty, especially in later levels, adds to the challenge. Despite minor drawbacks like occasional slowdown, Last Resort's striking visuals, fantastic music, and engaging gameplay make it a must-play for Neo Geo enthusiasts. Lethal Enforcers delivers an exhilarating arcade shooting experience that invites players to wield 2 light guns against waves of terrorists on screen. Initially, the game offers an engaging and intense thrill as you aim to increase your police officer rank by clearing various levels. Lethal Enforcers provides various difficulty settings and the option to choose your starting level in street mode, adding some replay value. Gameplay is straightforward. Shoot the terrorists. Lethal Enforcers remains a captivating arcade classic for those who appreciate the real-feel light gun experience. Road Rash 2 builds upon the foundation laid by its predecessor, with 5 difficulty levels and a progression system tied to upgrading your bike. It demands players' dedication as they aim to secure top 3 finishes in each race. While the gameplay retains its visceral charm with a repertoire of melee attacks and weaponry, it leans heavily on grinding for bike upgrades. The game's difficulty curve spikes rapidly, and the excessive presence of roadkill and animals can be irksome. Frame rate issues persist, especially in split-screen 2-player mode. Although the game's tracks lack scenic variety, the core racing remains entertaining. You can play the main races with a friend in a co-op mode. If one of you ranks, then you're both able to move forward to the next race. Road Rash 2 remains a must-play for fans of the original, looking for more high-octane action. G.I. Joe, the arcade game, is a testament to the pure, unadulterated joy of classic arcade action. Its Konami gem, despite its forgettable bosses and short playtime, delivers an exhilarating and unrelenting experience that encapsulates the very essence of 90s arcade gaming. You'll find yourself running toward the screen, blasting away waves of enemy soldiers and vehicles with a sense of carefree abandon. While the lack of complex mechanics might seem limiting, it's the simplicity that makes G.I. Joe so enjoyable. Rockets, your primary power-up, provides satisfying, screen-clearing explosions, and the game keeps the adrenaline flowing by constantly throwing foes at you. It may be brief, but it's an intense burst of escapism that harkens back to a time when arcades offered short, sweet, and mindless fun. Golden Axe: The Revenge of Death Adder, a title that remains relatively unknown outside arcades. The game introduces 4 new characters to choose from, adding variety to the roster while reserving the classic Golden Axe gameplay formula. However, the difficulty has been amped up significantly, with swarms of enemies and formidable bosses that can overwhelm even seasoned players. The magic system, though familiar, still offers character-specific spells, adding strategic depth to combat. Graphically, Golden Axe impresses with enlarged sprites, lush backgrounds, and detailed animation, creating a visually engaging experience. Despite its challenging nature, the game is a testament to the beat-em-up genre's enduring appeal, providing a fun and chaotic adventure that's best enjoyed with friends. It's a classic that deserves more recognition and should be made accessible to modern gamers through re-releases. Pocky and Rocky on the Super Nintendo stands out in the world of top-down shooters by embracing a delightful and lighthearted aesthetic, setting itself apart from the pack of more serious titles like Super Smash TV and Firepower 2000, a sequel to the Japanese arcade Kiki Kaikai. This charming Super Famicom release, known for its cute-em-up style, adds a unique twist by weaving Japanese folklore and mythology into its enemy roster. The game's cooperative gameplay, where players can choose between Pocky, a shrine maiden, and Rocky, a tanuki. Visually, the game impresses with detailed and colorful sprites, diverse stages, and even weather effects. While some stages can suffer from noticeable lag when the screen is crowded, the overall graphics are a highlight, while the sound effects enhance the gameplay experience. Controls are responsive, allowing players to freely move and shoot in 8 directions, and each character's unique ability adds depth to the gameplay. With its charming presentation and challenging later levels, Pocky and Rocky offers an endearing and engaging top-down shooter experience that's even more enjoyable with a friend. Super Double Dragon returns the iconic series to its roots, offering a rebooted take on the franchise, reminiscent of the original game's plot, but with a twist. Marion is now a cop training at the Lee Brothers dojo before disappearing during an investigation of the Shadow Warriors. Instead of the supernatural adventures of its predecessor, it focuses on brawling with thugs in a more grounded urban setting. The gameplay adopts a slower, more methodical combat system, introducing defensive stances for blocking and counterattacking. Controls are responsive, allowing for intricate moves, while a special meter offers powerful attacks when charged. However, the game's biggest drawback is its limited variety in enemy types and uninspired bosses. Despite these shortcomings, it brings the series back to its side-scrolling beat-em-up roots and still makes for a solid beat-em-up experience. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4: Turtles in Time is an arcade game that got an excellent port on the Super Nintendo, where it adds its own unique flair, with Mode 7 effects and an extra level, enhancing the overall experience. The gameplay offers depth with various moves and attacks, breaking away from the typical button-mashing beat-em-up formula. The graphics are vibrant, and the soundtrack, including a 16-bit rendition of the cartoon's intro, adds to the game's charm. The plot, involving Krang and Shredder's time travel shenanigans, provides a perfect backdrop for the Turtles to face a variety of foes throughout history. Turtles in Time is truly one of the greatest beat-em-ups of all time. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Hyperstone Heist marks the Turtles' debut on the Sega Genesis, following the success of their Nintendo adventures. This game, developed by Konami, is a remix of sorts, drawing from elements of the previous arcade games, while offering new twists. While the gameplay is reminiscent of Turtles in Time, the Mode 7 screen toss is absent due to hardware limitations. The color palette on the Genesis gives the game a grittier aesthetic, and the AI provides a more challenging brawler experience. The soundtrack impresses with new and classic tunes, but voice clips suffer from low quality. In my opinion, Hyperstone Heist is just as good as Turtles in Time, if not better. It's my personal favorite. Warriors of Fate delivers classic Capcom scrolling beat-em-up action, set against the backdrop of China's Three Kingdoms era. With support for up to 3 players, the game maintains familiar beat-em-up controls, including attacks, jumps, and throws. However, it introduces a unique twist by replacing health-draining special moves with the ability to summon horses, allowing players to engage enemies on horseback, a refreshing change that fits the game's theme. The 9 stages offer satisfying beat-em-up action, complete with weapons, health pickups, and even a tap as fast as you can minigame. While it may not introduce many genre cliches beyond overweight enemies, the game's detailed graphics, fitting music, and satisfying sound effects enhance the overall experience. The title's manga and Romance of the Three Kingdoms inspiration, despite name changes in the English version, add depth to the story. Warriors of Fate stands as a fun and engaging beat-em-up, offering a unique twist on the genre. World of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, is an excellent co-op platformer for fans of Disney and Sega's classic Mega Drive console. This platformer brings the iconic Disney characters to life in a magical adventure. As Mickey and Donald set out to become magicians, they are plunged into a world ruled by the sinister sorcerer Pete. Players can choose between the 2 characters, each with their unique abilities, such as Mickey's ability to crawl through tight spaces. The game offers a variety of enchanting environments, from lush woods to underwater depths, all brought to life with smooth animations and charming graphics. The enemies, a mix of original creations and familiar Disney characters, add to the game's charm. The music, though peaceful and relaxing, features memorable tunes that linger in your mind. Overall, World of Illusion is a gem on the Mega Drive, combining rich visuals, engaging gameplay, and Disney's beloved characters, suitable for players of all ages. X-Men: The Arcade Game, a Marvel Comics-inspired gem from the early 90s, takes center stage in the world of licensed arcade games. Released in 1992, it's best known for its memorable, mistranslated dialogue, including Magneto's infamous "Welcome to Die." The game offers action-packed fun and can accommodate up to 6 players simultaneously, making it a standout in multiplayer arcades. The gameplay is straightforward, but immensely satisfying, featuring various X-Men characters, each with unique abilities. You'll battle against waves of enemies, from recolored sentinels to suited thugs, all while tackling diverse levels and formidable bosses. The graphics are chunky and vibrant, while the sound adds to the immersion, with catchy tunes and classic arcade effects. The story involving the rescue of Professor X from the clutches of Magneto keeps the action flowing. Overall, X-Men: The Arcade Game delivers an enjoyable and memorable arcade experience that has left fans and players with fond memories. Steel Gunner 2, released just a year after its predecessor, maintains the intense action of the original, but spices things up with a bit more intensity and refinement. Running on the same hardware, the game closely resembles its predecessor in gameplay, which might disappoint those seeking substantial innovation. Where it truly stands apart is in the level of violence, as it introduces a new adversary, the genetically engineered super soldiers of the terrorist organization Vanguard, resulting in messier confrontations. The story, while similar to the first, is more intricately woven into the gameplay, making for a more cohesive and continuous narrative. With 6 levels, improved sound, and a touch of forgiveness and difficulty, Steel Gunner 2 builds upon the foundation laid by its predecessor and offers an action-packed experience that's not easily forgotten, even though it sadly marks the end of the official Steel Gunner series. Shubibinman 3 on the PC Engine CD, the next installment in the series, introduces a new adventure, as the characters are thrust into action once again. This time, a beach vacation is interrupted by the appearance from the princess from another world, leading to a fierce battle. As the story unfolds, it's revealed that she seeks Shubibinman's aid to rescue her homeworld from an evil warlord's clutches. The gameplay takes a step back to its roots, resembling the first Shubibinman game more than its predecessor. Swords are back alongside the Shubibin Buster, which can be remotely controlled after firing. However, the complexity of Shubibinman 2's boss battles has been replaced by straightforward shootouts, and the platforming elements are scarce. Combat takes center stage, with hordes of enemies bombarding you. The game shines in the visual department, boasting impressive artwork, huge, well-animated sprites, and a hard rock soundtrack, reminiscent of 80s synth classics, making it a visually striking experience, but somewhat lacking in structure compared to its predecessor. Konami's Mystic Warriors is a martial arts themed action game. It follows the footsteps of its predecessor, Sunset Riders, but takes a different thematic turn, drawing inspiration from 80s martial arts movies, offering a 4-player cooperative experience with 5 unique characters, including a ninja, kunoichi, kabuki warrior, samurai, and street monk. The game's diversity in settings range from city streets to underground mines, airplanes, and ski resorts. While the characters have distinct appearances, they functionally play the same, with the 5th unchosen character being kidnapped and motivating the heroes to embark on their mission. The game is packed with typical Konami flair, featuring over-the-top moments like boss battles set amidst blazing scenery and intense action sequences like snowboarding down a mountain. Mystic Warriors incorporates elements from Shinobi, including melee attacks and ninja magic pickups that can clear enemies or provide temporary invincibility. With tight action and an enjoyable atmosphere, Mystic Warriors is an awesome experience, marred only by the lack of recognition and official ports. Monster in My Pocket was best known as a toy line, released by Matchbox in 1990. It consists of small, rubbery plastic figures that are based on various monsters. In 1992, Konami would release an NES game based off of that toy line, where you play as Dracula and Frankenstein's monster, or toy versions of them, I guess. This is definitely a late release for the NES, as the Super Nintendo had already been out for a little while. And like a lot of NES games that came out in the 90s, this one went under some people's radar, which is a shame, because this is one of the best co-op NES games. It's a side-scrolling platformer where you play as these toy-sized monsters in a huge environment. You're able to pick up various items, and you can throw them at enemies. There's also a double jump feature, which is always very satisfying in a platformer. The combat is solid, and it makes you just feel really powerful as numerous enemies come running at you and you take them out pretty quickly. This is one of those NES games that is challenging, but not too hard for you to be able to actually complete. If you give it a fair chance, maybe a couple runs, you and your friends should be able to beat this game. The level design is creative and unique enough to keep your interest. As I said, this is truly one of the best co-op games on the NES, so give it a try. So those are some of the co-op games from 1992. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our video from last week, where we talk about the co-op games of 1991. Thank you for watching.